Good morning. This is the meeting of the extraordinary council meeting that is going to be considering one of the biggest decisions that we will make for, this council will have made for about 50 years. But before I start, can I just draw to your attention the normal rules, which are about fire evacuation. No planned fire alarms scheduled at this time. Therefore, if the fire alarm goes off, please make your way out of the building via the nearest fire exit to the car park beside the Windmill Public House. And just a note on microphones, please ensure that the microphone directly in front of you is switched on and logged on. And please do not move the microphones when speaking from its set position. Make sure that it's where people can hear, because there are a lot of people listening in, or there may be a lot of people listening in, and it's crucial that they hear what you say. Okay, so moving on from there, just to the agenda, do we have any apologies for absence today?
Chair, we have apologies from Councillor Rolfe.
Thank you very much. And do we have any disclosures of interest? And the monitoring officer, Marcia Leckerston, Head of Law and Governance, will outline what kind of declarations of interest we may or may not have.
Thank you, Chair. Given that we are talking about something that affects not only residents but all members, and we wouldn't be able to get on with the business today without allowing for a dispensation. As the monitoring officer, I am allowing for a dispensation today so that we can continue with the business and that you can vote accordingly. I do have a second point that I'd like to raise as well.
Do you want to carry on? Okay.
Yes, please, Chair. Just to say further that I'm aware that some of our members may also be double hatters, i.e. that they also sit at County Council. In terms of County Council consideration, clearly what needs to be at the top of their mind also has to be whether or not they come to this debate and this consideration with an open mind and not predetermined. Providing they do that, they can go ahead and make a decision today when you decide to vote.
Thank you very much for clarifying that. That's a crucial point that needed to be made. Right, we're moving on then to the main substance of the meeting, which is matters to be referred to the Council, and this will go to Council for the final decision. It comes under my leadership portfolio, which is the Local Government Reorganisation Proposals, the submission document. Pages 1 to 428, and it is quite substantial because it not only considers the submission to the formal invitation from central government for proposals for local government reorganisation, but also includes the lot of the information and evidence as well that has been gathered. So just to outline for anybody that isn't up to date on this, and I'm sure that's not the case for councillors, but in December, 16th of December actually, 2024, government issued a policy paper, English devolution white paper, quite a substantial document, mostly about strategic authorities and their proposal to move powers from government to strategic authorities. But in there was also about the reorganisation of shire counties to become unitary, not two-tier local authority areas. Bearing in mind that the majority of councils across the country are already unitary, it is only those areas that are what we call shire areas, which are the county council areas that are to become unitary under the proposals. It's to complete a process that has been ongoing now for something like 30 years to make councils across the country into unitaries. So what the task before us here at this council was to understand the options that were available and also to consider in depth what would be best for our residents. And the services that they receive from not only this council and not only the county council, but the successor county council, because none of the councils will be the same. The district council will go, the county council will go, and there will be new authorities, whatever the option is available. So we did undertake a great deal of engagement through surveys and interviews with organisations that included businesses, parish councils, as well as residents. And one of the things that stood out in this area was that because we were one of the only authorities that had a citizens panel, and we also have a business sounding board, and we also have parish forum, we did get one of the highest response from our resident. The engagement exercise was featured in many ways in order to be able to get people's opinion. And of those people that responded to that engagement process, it was overwhelming that over 7 in 10 respondents, 73%, agreed with the proposal for 2 unitary authorities to run local government across Warwickshire. And moreover, nearly half, 47%, indicated they strongly agreed, and just over a fifth of residents, 22%, disagreed. So it was the majority of our residents voted or expressed their view in the engagement processes that they were in favour of 2 unitary. But we also engaged with other local organisations. So this is to make sure that we had the views of businesses, parish councils, all the other organisations that we engage with as part and parcel of the work that this district council does. That feedback is included in the final document, the ORS report. I have to say that there is some substantial research and some excellent research that was carried out by people like People2, the District Council Network, and also ORS and our own officers to put forward the final document that is going to be before you. So I'd like to hear some input from portfolio members, portfolio holders and other councillors that are here today on the proposals. And just to draw your attention to the fact that there will be 4 recommendations, not the 3 that were originally published. There is a 4th recommendation on the table, and that has come about as a result of all the district and borough councils, their recommendations on what they would like as their 4th recommendation. So the recommendations that will go forward to council are that the Stratford-on-Avon District Council supports the 2 unitary proposal for future local government within Warwickshire, and it will be made up as follows: North Warwickshire Unitary, based on the current borough council boundaries of North Warwickshire Borough Council, Nuneaton and Bedworth Borough Council, and Rugby Borough Council. And South Warwickshire Unitary, based in the current district council boundaries of Stratford-on-Avon District Council and Warwick District Council. And then the second recommendation is that the Deloitte business case, which is the case that will go to ministers at Appendix 11, be approved as the Council's formal response for proposals for local government reorganisation in Warwickshire, subject to any amendments. And any amendments will be minor, amendments that are like typos and minor amendments, because this has already been agreed and supported by all the 4. Well, the input has been supported by the district and borough councils, 4 district and borough councils, although they have not yet gone to council for their final decision. They will, I think we're the first ones to make that final decision. And then third, that further to the decisions being made at those other local authorities within Warwickshire, the Chief Executive be authorised in consultation with the leader of the council and other group leaders of the council to make and accept any necessary minor administrative amendments to the final business case prior to its submission to government by 28th of November 2025. And the final recommendation, number 4, is in the event that the government decision for local government reorganisation for Warwickshire is for a single unitary authority, that Stratford-on-Avon District Council does not support this being established as a continuing authority. And that is quite, that is made clear that, that things have to be done in a different way. That is, you know, this is, as I said, a very big consequential, for the first time in 50 years that we're being asked to reorganise this council and other district councils. And if we do so, it has to be done to the benefit of residents, and it has to be done in a way that has a fresh vision for the future and how some of the things that are not progressing well in this country and in some of the bigger counties do need to be addressed. Obviously, for some of that, we will need government help, but we can do a lot ourselves in being able to bring together some of the preventative measures that are in the hands of the district council to solve some of the other issues that are facing our residents on a day-to-day basis. So if I open up the debate to the portfolio holders first, and let me know what, then what I will do is we will then have the Overview and Scrutiny Committee response to this as well, because they had a very good debate on this as well. And I want to be able to, we've got a written response from them, and I will want to hear directly from the Overview and Scrutiny Chairman as well. So do you want to do it in that order, and then we can open up further debate as well? Councillor Coucher.
Thank you very much indeed, Leader. 1974 was the last time that local government was reorganised, and it wasn't a perfect solution that was achieved there. We now have the opportunity now, 50 years later, of actually reorganising local government to make it more effective and certainly more cohesive. And I particularly support the view that we should be moving to unitary authorities. It's been a major problem for many of us that, certainly in my portfolio area, planning and highways are in totally different separate organisations who don't always talk very well together, and we get a very discordant response in relation to that. I think it's really important that we recognise that what we are being asked has two elements to it. Local government reorganisation being one, the second being also where we are going to go in relation to devolution. What strategic authority are we going to join to ensure that we benefit from the government's wish to devolve certain powers and money? And I think that is a very substantial issue that actually could benefit this area greatly if we make the right choice. I think the option that we have here of 2 unitaries for the county, it certainly ensures that we've got maximum opportunities in relation to the strategic authorities that we could be. We could look at a strategic authority purely for Warwickshire. We could look at joining a strategic authority which is particularly relevant to us in South Warwickshire, being our shower counties to the south. Because I have real worries about joining the West Midlands Combined Authority, already an enormous body of over 6 million people. If we are the only shire county to join the West Midlands Combined Authority, would there be a tendency for ever more overspill development just to be given into our green and pleasant county? And I think that would not be to our benefit. So I'm really concerned if that was to be the preferred option. I think we have here a very thorough piece of work. I'm very pleased at the public engagement that there has been within Stratford District. I've spoken to my parish councils and other organisations, and there is a view that we are different here in South Warwickshire from Nuneaton and Bedworth in particular, and that we need to ensure that our local authority addresses our local communities and our local needs. And actually a mega authority for the county doesn't necessarily do that. I think the financial modelling have demonstrated that the extra costs of two authorities are not significant, given the overall budget that would be coming forward, and particularly in relation to potentially devolved powers as well. And that certainly works towards two local authorities. I think there has been much made of the fact that we have to have single bodies to deal with special educational needs or fire service or whatever. I think the case is poor in relation to that. I think it's been quite clear from other counties where services have been split between two. It is quite possible to do. It doesn't have to be a big bang arrangement. And I think, as already has been said by you, Leader, this is going to be a new council or new councils that will actually deliver better and improved services. So I'm very much in favour of these 4 recommendations.
Chief Executive, you want to come in at this point?
Yeah, just very, very briefly, Chair, if I... The combined authority population is 3 million, not 6 million, but otherwise, thank you.
Thank you for that. Well, that's something that we have to... Councillor Lewis Adam.
Thank you, Leader. Yeah, I'd like to speak on the way in which we communicate with our residents. I think the team that we have here is incredibly effective at communicating what we do as a local council and how that's relevant to our residents. I think that challenge becomes enormous when you're looking at a county-wide approach, because the relevance of what we do becomes more distant. And we see that as well as councillors. One of the main concerns I have always had with reorganisation of this kind is the potential of a democratic deficit. And I think when having the scale of unitary authority that a county-wide model would go towards, you start to have the tangible reduction in how people perceive their representation. I know that all of the councillors here have an incredible drive to see that their residents are represented fairly and equitably. I also want to make sure that parish councils and town councils, particularly being one of the parish champions here, are fairly communicated with and critically listened to. I think the geography is tangible in how we do that, the way in which we see our communities coalesce around issues that affect them is tangible, and these are all factors that are highlighted in the reports that we've seen as being relevant to what we're actually looking to achieve through a new authority, because the savings will be very sort of meagre, relatively speaking, but from having a county-wide unitary, but the community cohesion that we'll see from having a north-south arrangement is substantial and enduring. I think that's one of the things that is sought from the government's approach towards this. It's not just an accounting exercise. We have to make sure we get that right to deliver value services, good value services, but we need to make sure that actually the format of our local democracy is truly representative to our communities. I can only see that really happening through the north-south arrangement, and making sure that that's carried through in a meaningful way for all representatives and all our residents is at the forefront of my mind on this. So that's why I'm emphatically in support of the north-south arrangement, because I think it represents our local communities best.
Thank you. Does anybody else want to make a point to this? Councillor Coles.
Thank you, Leader. I think I would have to echo what Councillor Adams says. Having read the work and been involved in the process for the last year, which has been an enormous piece of work, and I think we can only thank everybody for the huge amount of effort that's been put into this. But I think one of the things that is shown is that if there is a relatively small additional cost to running a north and a south 2 unitary, that cost is actually going into more effective delivery of service, not just the cheapest possible. And I think that is the opportunity now that it is arising, is that we have a chance to create new bodies which deliver the services effectively, more strategically, but actually don't lose the power of the district council, which is engagement, good, as you said, Councillor, good local engagement with their residents, councillors who are able to be able to hear more of their residents, they're closer to their residents. I, for instance, within my portfolio, am very lucky to be involved with many of the networking and excuse me, planning work that goes on with local community groups, the voluntary sector, other groups. We meet regularly, and I think any massive increase to that would lose the effectiveness and the power of that ability to network so locally. And I would see it as a huge loss if we were to not see that carried forward. Having looked at the work that has come through and the engagement, and even just talking to my residents and in other parts of our district at the moment, it is really quite obvious that our residents favour a more effective reorganisation, but they do not favour losing the identity of South Warwickshire and losing the identity of Stratford district. And I think the two unitary is the ideal, if you like, sweet spot in keeping more strategic, more effective, but also staying local. I think really that this is an exercise not in just shuffling the money around and giving it to a bigger single council, but it is an exercise in how we do the work of the councils better, both at district, both at the county, combining them together. How do we improve what is delivered? How we respond to the needs of our residents and the needs of our communities, and how that new body will become more effective. And I think that can only really be done if it comes with the creation of a new council and not a continuation of the same, but just absorbing another layer into that council. It has to be a new body, and we have to seize the opportunity to look at everything that new council will do and how will it deliver what it is required to deliver more effectively and more strategically. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Curtis.
Thank you, Leader. Just reiterating a couple of points, if I may. I think, as Councillor Coucher has said, one of the very important things is to look at what the new strategic authority may be, and having the north-south split allows the greatest choice, and it doesn't tie our hands so much. And I share his concerns about being part of the West Midlands Combined Authority. I think, again, that the north-south split, it recognises the very different demography and needs of the residents of both the north and south. I think it's really important, particularly as a Liberal Democrat administration, that we do take the views of our residents into account. 72% is not a small majority in favour. And certainly I have, with my county hat on very briefly, I have 11 parishes and one parish meeting, and certainly all the residents that I speak to and all of those parish councils are not only very much in favour of the north-south split, but equally express real concerns about what the impact of a county-wide unitary may be. And particularly, if we went that route, that it's essential that we avoid the continuing authority, and it's not a takeover. But I think my other final point, just pick up what Councillor Cole said, it's about better services. If there are additional minor costs to deliver better services, I think there's a lot of focus on detail and savings here, possible additional costs there. What we want, I'm sure we all want as a result of this reorganisation, is better outcomes for residents. What is the best way of achieving better outcomes for residents, ensuring that we don't have a democratic deficit, that we are better able to represent our residents in all of the areas that they need and deliver better services for them. So I think, for me, if we want better outcomes, I think the north-south split offers the best opportunity for that. Thank you, Leader.
And Councillor Grocott, I think, wants to come in as well.
Thank you, Leader. Yes, and again, it's much echoing what Councillor Curtis has just said. It's the outcomes for the residents which are the most important to us. Again, I have many conversations that we had at the start of this process with residents, and they were very much in favour of a southern unitary as opposed to a whole Warwickshire unitary, because they were concerned about that lack of connection with the local authority. It would just be too distant from them. I mean, as a concept, they did not have any issue with turning to unitary. My portfolio has many operational functions which are split between the county and the district at the moment, and it's very complicated for our residents when they're trying to access help for specific things. I mean, such things as waste collection. At the moment, we actually already have a contract that covers the what will be the South Warwickshire Unitary area. Our officers work very well together, and it just proves that as a body, the South Warwickshire Unitary would be an effective body. Again, I'm also on the county, and we have had the discussion there for their plans for a full Warwickshire Unitary, and the attitude was very much that having it spread over the whole of Warwickshire gives that economies of scale, and we can move things forward and also decrease sort of inequality between all the different what are current different district and borough council areas. However, I mean, as we see under the results, the waste collection, there is lots of different levels of performance, and I'm worried that we could end up as a performance of the county, a rather large county, that we could end up with not this sort of Goldilocks just right option where everything's better. We could just end up with the worst of both worlds, where areas where we're performing well down south, ends up not performing as well because of areas such as recycling isn't as good up in the north, and I'm sure there's a whole level of other services as well. So we do need to make sure that we're working for the best of all our residents, not just for the south obviously, but those in North Warwickshire where their specific needs are different, and we just look after all our residents and bring the democracy closer to them. Thank you.
And Councillor Guest, do you want to complete the
Thank you. Just picking
round?
up on a few points that everyone else has raised. Obviously, we have within the Law and Governance portfolio a number of shared services already with Warwick District Council, which works very well. The other point I wanted to raise about the continuing authority, it doesn't seem to me that it's in the spirit of the legislation as proposed by the government. And I was looking at the submission, and on page 380, it said people to indicate that a national benchmark data indicates that unitary authorities with a population of 350,000 and below perform better in terms of key areas of expenditure across adult social care and children's social care. And then it's detailed in the table. And I know it's a national problem, but there are significant issues with adult social care and children's social care. So I certainly don't think that a continuing authority would assist with dealing with that national issue. And certainly the evidence that we have would suggest that 2 unitaries would be better placed. And the other point I wanted to pull out from the submission on page 381 is that the 2 unitary model will have significant positive impact on outcomes for the people of Warwickshire. Well, we represent the people of Warwickshire, so I think that has to be the best choice for us.
Thank you indeed, and to add to all the kind of research that was done, and considerable amount of research, there's been studies of other councils. I personally have been on webinars not only with the ministry but with the leaders from different councils to understand how other different councils that have been through this process for some years ahead have coped with it and the issues that have arisen as a result. Now, moving on, can I bring in the chair of the Overview and Scrutiny Committee to outline what discussions took place at the Ovion Scrutiny Committee extraordinary meeting to discuss this subject as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jennard. I think hopefully you've all received the supplement to the Cabinet Papers that I think was an excellent summary of what went on. I must admit I was slightly late because I got stuck on the M40, but I've been reassured that the bits I've been adequately surmised, and I'm sure Mr Perks or Mr Buckland would point out any omissions. So I think that's an excellent paper, and thank you, Mr Allison and the team for producing that. I think it's a comprehensive debate when I got there. I think the main points were discussed. I think the People 2 report was given quite significant weight by the people there regarding the facts and the figures. Talk about the strategic authority, which Councillor Keithy raised some several pertinent points. And the only thing I think you might need to consider or wonder what will be happening in the future is the fair funding review, because we don't know what's, and that is a factor we don't know about, and depends on what the definition of fair is from the government. It could have various impacts on a single unitary or north-south unitary. So I think that's one variable we don't know about. And I can't see how we can mitigate it if you don't know what you've got to mitigate. So I think it's got to be there in the back of your mind, but I think we can do very little about it. And more than willing to take any questions, but I think excellent summary. And the points were well made, and Mr Buckland and Mr Perks answered any points that were raised. So again, thank you for that.
Thank you. I sat through the Ovion Scrutiny Committee. I have to say it was a very thoughtful meeting, and some of the recommendations are things that we are happy to take forward. For example, it had already been taken up that if we are able to present it, the presentation to government, to the ministers, that it should be impactful. It's the kind of the way in which it's presented, and some of the not the recommendation, but some of the wording it has already been taken on board here, that there will be a really good document that will be prepared, and you'll be able to see some of that before the council meeting. That was well made, and I will bring you in, but they also that we make it quite clear about the way in which this judgment has been taken. It was, that the weightings that were put on it, that has been taken on board as well. So thank you. I say it was a good meeting, and I'm glad that people were able to put their views forward on this. Would you want to come back again?
Again, I think that summarises what OSC should be doing. Come in and looking with a different perspective, a different pair of eyes, and the way things could be presented, because sometimes you're so focused on the report, you think, oh, this is the way to do it. But sometimes somebody can come in and say, well, yes, we get, I was going to say get the gist, so catch the, but no pun intended on this occasion. We get where you're going on this one, but how about if you considered this or strengthened this? So I think that's the whole point of a good OSC, and hopefully you've taken those comments on board, and Mr Buckland's going to be making some slight amendments.
We have to put a good case forward, because in the end, the final decision will be made by the Minister, and it's making sure that right from the start of the executive summary, we are presenting the positive case. Do we have any other? Councillor Pemberton.
Thank you, Chair and Leader. I want to make some observations, but before I make those observations, I want to make it absolutely clear that to the Chief Executive, that I think he's done a fantastic job. He and his officers have thrown their heart and soul into this and have been hugely diligent, hugely effective. And what I'm about to say is in no way whatsoever a reflection on the work done by the officers. Councillor Coucher observed that it's 50 years since the last reorganisation. Could well be another 50 years before the next one. It's certainly for most of our political lifetimes, this will set the course for local government in England. Huge opportunity, and I'm afraid, as far as I can see, you as an administration have completely dropped the ball. First of all, this debate has completely and utterly missed the point. This administration wants a two-unitary solution, and to achieve that, you have to submit a business case. And until the leader's remarks right at the very death, you didn't really talk about the business case and the quality of the business case. Councillor Gist, you referred to page 380, which has got some good information in it. That's really great. The notion that the minister is going to read all of this is delusional. I'm sorry, this will be seen by junior civil servants who will report up to senior civil servants. And if you're going to make the case, make the case. You've got an 8-page executive summary. It's not making the case. You're not being bold. You've got no vision. The closest you get is the final 3 paragraphs, 10:16, 10 through 10:18. You know, if you're going to make the case, where are the killer lines? Where are the killer stats? Where is right in front? Many, many years ago, I was told a story by a former councillor, Jonathan Spence, IT contractor, had 10 minutes in front of the Home Secretary to make a £250 billion case. The minister's never going to read this document. If you're going to make the case, if you want this to happen, this could end up being a really interesting, a paperweight. If you're going to make the case, make the case. It's not there. Where is the difference that the government is looking for to move away from its circa £500,000? Where is the, strategic authority? Councillor Coucher talks about giving us options. Be bold. If you truly think that two Warwickshires is right and a strategic authority for Warwickshire is right, make the case. I just think you've lost the opportunity, and I fear you will lose what you want out of this, because I can't see in that executive summary something that a junior civil servant is going to be able to pull out to make to senior civil servants, and they'll get 15, 20 minutes with the minister to talk this through. There was lots of echoing going around the table today. You're an echo chamber. You're not thinking about the audience that you're making this to. You're not. You're not selling it. You haven't rolled the pitch as the media would talk about it. And I just really, all that this has done is improve Deloitte's bottom line. I think it's a hugely missed opportunity. You want to make the case, you haven't, and that's sad, because it could be the right opportunity, and that is my opinion. That is my observation. It may well land really, really well, but having looked at it, it's not selling it to me.
Thank you very much, Councillor Pemberton. These are points that you could have come and made to the Overview and Scrutiny Committee, and they could have been taken on board if that was your personal view, but you were not able to be there.
I think
Councillor
that ship
Coles,
had sailed
would you
a long
like
time
to?
before that, Leader.
Thank you, Leader. I just want to say that as far as I'm concerned, the lives and the futures of my residents are not a business. They're not a business, and we have gone into this thoroughly to see what we can do which makes the lives of our residents better, and that is where I'm coming from, and I think that's where our report is going. Thank you.
Yes, indeed. Can I thank not only the officers, but all those members that took a positive part in the local government reorganisation working group that has been considering this for months and months, of which Councillor Pemberton, of course, was a member. Councillor Passingham.
Right. Well, we totally support the recommendations. I think we've all discussed it an awful lot in the last 9 months. There have been lots of really good discussions about it. And I think when it comes down to it, I think most of what can be said has been said around this table. The benefits of two unitary are quite plain in terms of too large an organisation, the benefits will be lost. the benefits to democracy in terms of remoteness of the decision making will be very plain. Most of the people that I talk to in the town and the parishes say what's going to happen because everything is going to be a lot more remote and we won't be able to communicate so well. There won't be so many councillors and so on. So this isn't an ideal solution, but it's a lot better than having a unitary county council. And the most important thing in all this is democracy, and democracy will be served a lot better the closer to the communities it is. And the options we've got now are either unitary Warwickshire or two unitaries, and it's obvious to me that the two unitaries are best.
Thank you very much indeed, and that's something that I feel very passionate about. It's about the ability for local communities to be able to engage with their local council and local councillors as well, because the local knowledge and the ability to find local solutions is absolutely, you know, what so many of our communities want. They don't want to have things done to them. I mean, the ultimate argument about bigger is better would be not to have local councils at all, which of course is not what anybody would support. So being able to make sure that that councils stay in touch with their local communities is absolutely essential. But greater than that, I truly believe that this is an opportunity to reshape the way that councils serve their communities and also the way that they repackage the services that are available to the communities. And some of the smaller unitary authorities across the country already give us some very good practice that we can adopt. We have one on our doorstep. We have Solihull, which has been a unitary for some years, but we've lots of other unitary authorities across the country with good practice that we should be able to make the most of. Going forward then, is there anybody else that wants to speak on this at this moment? Otherwise, we have 4 recommendations. And we have those 4 recommendations, and I'm happy to propose those 4 recommendations, remembering that this has been done in consultation with all the other district councils and borough councils across the district working together. The 4 of them have worked together in particular. They're all different political parties, but they have all come to very similar and say, you know, conclusions about the outcome, and the recommendations are going to be shared to all of them across their meetings. So we have 4 recommendations that we're going to put, and I'm happy to propose those 4 recommendations. Councillor Coucher is going to second those. Are you all in agreement with the recommendations that will now go to council for debate at council? Okay, agreed. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much indeed for your time. And the final thing that we have to do on the agenda is consider whether there is any urgent business. We have no urgent business that I've been notified of, so thank you for your time today. And that's the end of the meeting. Thank you.
Well done, Susan.